All right, when you're shooting action, you're gonna wanna make sure that that's on shutter speed mode, mainly so that you can speed up the shutter speed to capture and freeze action. The only time you might wanna switch to aperture mode is if something's not happening and you wanna capture an athlete and maybe do a really low aperture and have them be focused and have the background be not so focused, blurry. The first thing you want to make sure, since we're doing that kind of a shoot, is to switch this button, which is the release mode button, and change it from single frame mode to continuous mode. Continuous mode means when you hold the shutter, you're going to be able to take multiple pictures of the action and then sort through which one's the best one later. Another thing in the I menu is, since we're going to be following athletes and we want to try and make sure that the focus is correct, we're going to take over the autofocus mode and go away from auto area focus and switch to single point autofocus. And again, what that does, and I'll go ahead and I'll try to get this looking down the viewfinder, is make sure it starts with the center point as being the point that will focus. So every time you half press it, you're going to focus wherever that center point is. This can be changed by holding this button down while you're moving the directional pads, and you can see the display right here. I can move that point to any point on the grid that I want, changing which point will be in focus for the shot. Generally for this you want to keep it centered, but just in case you need to change it, that's where you do it. Another thing that's going to be important is to switch the area focus mode, since we're talking about focus, from the auto servo mode, which is supposed to switch back between single server and continuous. But it didn't for me, and I want to make sure that we get good shots on this. And basically what you're going to be doing is probably following the action and waiting for a moment. So to do that, if you're in if you're in single server mode, or if this doesn't select the right mode, the camera will focus and it will stay focused where you originally focused it as you half press. So if I half press it and then I move around and take the shot, it's going to be focused where I pressed it the first time. So if I switch to continuous servo mode, what'll happen is as I am looking down the viewfinder, and again, I'll just have to pretend that there's a subject that's moving, as I half press it, that center dot will stay red, meaning that's in focus, but as I move around, it continually changes the focus. So if I'm following an athlete across the field and keeping them in that center square, the camera's going to keep working and making sure that that subject is in focus before you burst your shot. The last thing that I wanted to point out was, and if you look through the viewfinder, I can show it this way. As you're shooting, right now the camera, you can see that the camera's still in 4000 at the bottom left. It's 1/4000th of a second. But I'm going to simulate what happens sometimes in a setting like that where it's just too dark. And to do that, I'm just going to cover the lens with my hand. And you should see now, right next to that, things are blinking. And there's a display that's an exposure display where it's tilting towards the negative side. All that means is the shot is underexposed. You can also see that here when that's happening. Subject's too dark, and you'll see again underexposed. And all that means is basically you need to slow down your lens so that you're catching the right amount of light. Now it's not underexposed, and I should be able to take a picture without it appearing dark. So if you combine all those skills, you should be able to get at least one great shot today. Good luck.